What's going on, everybody? I'm Jeremy, and you're watching Warfels Morse. You're not going to believe it, folks. You're really not going to believe it. We've got Brian Gundy on the show tonight. There's no issues at all. He's made it. He's backstage. I'm just excited. I hopefully everybody else is really excited because Brian's a legend. I mean, there's no other way to put it other than this man is a true legend, and I'm pretty sure all of us have looked up to him like our whole time in this hobby. It's a great honor, and yeah, it's just a great honor to have him on with us tonight. So let's bring him on. Ooh, whoa! See, I'm not stinking excited, everybody. I'm hitting my table and everything. All right, so let's bring Brian on, and everybody say hello.
Hi, everyone.
What's up, Brian? What's up?
Not much, man. Just having fun.
That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. So let's say hi to a few people. We've got Old Man Pies and Clowns. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. We've got Eric. What's going on?
Hey, Eric.
Brandon, what's up, dude? Hopefully Rick got back to you if you messaged him today. Hopefully he did. But it's good talking to you today earlier as well. Kingdom, what's going on? Luke, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Everybody, I posted a link a little bit up in the chat. If you would like to become a member of the channel, basically it's like a Patreon for YouTube. We do, depending what tier you get, the top tier gets like all sorts of different perks. One like a member only live stream a month, discounts on snakes, first access to snakes that are going up for sale, all that good stuff. Check it out. There's like 3 different tiers. Check it out. See if there's something that interests you. It's just another cool way to help support the channel on top of, get some added benefits on top of it. So check it out and see what you think. Let's see here. Tammy, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Chris, my brother, what's going on, dude? It's cool to see you with Nicole there on Lady Tiz yesterday on her live. Sorry I didn't get to catch all of it, though. I went back and rewatched it today, though. Phil, what's up, brother? Thanks for tuning in. Angie, sister, what's going on, girl? Good to see you. Great live as well Saturday night. What's up, Jamie? Thanks for tuning in. And John, I'm assuming. What's up, John? Cartafago, what's going on? Matt, what's going on, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Fred, what's going on, brother? Hutch, what's going on? Wow, this is popping off real quick here tonight. All right, we're kind of caught up. What's up, Clint? Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's get this show on the road. And I guess there's Jeff. What's up, my brother? All right, so in case anybody for some unknown reason doesn't know you, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry and hobby.
Let's see. Born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, more specifically San Jose, Campbell area. And all of my life, I've been into animals of all different types. So growing up, not only did I have your normal dogs and cats as pets, in fact, dogs are by far my favorite animal. But growing up, I had a unique fascination for lots of different types of animals. So I had pets up the kazoo. I had a raccoon as a pet. I had a possum.
Oh, wow.
I had a great horned owl, a red-tailed hawk. I had lots of snakes, lizards, frogs, toads, salamanders, turtles, tortoises, pigeon. I raced pigeons for 25 years, competitively raced pigeons. When I graduated from high school, I started working at an animal hospital, and I worked for a veterinarian that is specialized in exotics. So not only did I get to work with dogs and cats, but I also got to work with animals such as mountain lions and cheetahs and African lions and wolves and chimpanzees and lots of reptiles, lots of birds of prey. And then when I, started producing animals, which was probably when I was in my early 20s or 30s, and then got into it more seriously when I was in my 40s. And I started with colubrids. I bred and sold colubrids for about 10 or 12 years. And then I saw a photograph of a piebald. In fact, I was actually in the process of selling out my colubrid collection, and I'd almost sold out, and I saw a photograph of a pied, and I thought I couldn't believe it. So I just took the money that I had gained from selling out my colubrid collection, and then reinvested into ball pythons, and that's what got me started into the pieds is what got me started, and my collection is just loaded with pieds now. And
that's probably one of the biggest things you're probably known for, is it not? Is your pied stuff?
I don't know. I don't really know what I'm known for, because I don't know what everybody, you know what I'm saying? People don't tell me what I'm known for, so I don't know. I just don't know.
So I know I've heard about the pied thing, and I guess I just kind of automatically assumed that that was your main focus, that was your drive, and like that was your heart and soul for the whole thing.
And then the gold blush gene trait, I'm also working with that, and then mixing that in with just about everything too. So between the pied and the clown project and the gold blush, orange dream, and anything else that I can figure to get in there, that's basically what my focus is.
Okay. Chris asks, what colubrids did you work with, and what was your favorite?
My favorite were the Zanatas. I worked with everything: corn snakes, milk snakes, a lot of the king snakes, the mountain kings, the pyros, the multifasciatas, lots of them. The Mex, the Mexican, the Negritas, the Mexican black king snakes, and the Cal Kings. I used to work a lot of 50/50s and mega bands and all sorts of stuff, but with the colubrids.
Okay. Now, out of this, which was your favorite to work with?
The colubrids?
Yeah.
The mountain king snake.
Mountain king snakes?
Yeah, and probably more the this mountain king snakes that I can actually catch up here in the Santa Cruz Mountains is definitely one of my favorites. That's the multifasciata, but the pulchras and the there's a few other down south in California, the mountain kings, that are just gorgeous. It's just like a tricolor. It almost looks like a coral snake.
But, okay.
But the band colors are red on black rather than red on yellow.
Okay.
And but I loved colubrids, but like I said, I kind of got burned out on it after about 12 years of really working it hard, and then just dumped the colubrid collection and went right back into ball pythons. And that's where I'm at today.
Awesome. I know at some point I want to get, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I've always been wanting a California king snake. At some point, I'm determined I'm going to get one. That's right. I kind of figured like it'll serve multiple purposes. One, I just want one because I've always wanted one.
Sure.
And two, I've heard people saying, like Cal Kings are really good. I'm going to say like disposal units. If you have deformed babies, stuff like that, it's kind of a way to make sure
it's like having a safe cobra around.
Yeah
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I just thought it serves two purposes for me. I think they're absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, if next time I catch one, I'll let you know, and if I can legally ship it to you, I'll ship it to you.
That would be awesome.
Sure.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Phil. Phil, thank you. Everybody, while Phil jotted my mind on this, any super chats, super stickers, all that good stuff, all goes towards the ultrasound fund. So if you guys feel like donating anything into it, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. I need to get an ultrasound at some point, and I figured what better way to do it than just whatever the YouTube channel brings in is how I'm going to do it. So money here's a little bit on the tight side, so I figured, hey, the YouTube money never really existed, so it's the perfect way to raise up the funding to do it.
That's a good idea.
Jeremy and Holly, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Thank you again, Phil. I really do appreciate that, brother. I really, really do. Wow, there's a whole bunch of some new faces in here. Strictly Strange, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Your new face, I do believe. All right. Where was I? When you started, what were some of the big popular genes in the industry?
Spider, definitely pastel. you know, it's
What
hard.
what was what was the pastel going for at that point?
Oh, I don't know, 5,000, three
Oh
thousand.
wow. Okay.
Pieds, when I first got into it, pieds were selling for 25,000.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, what was the question, Jeremy? I'm sorry.
No, just what were some of the big popular genes like when you had started to get into the ball pythons and everything?
Sure. Well, clowns and pieds, definitely. Um, I had a caramel female that I was wishing for some big things. She passed away during the breeding season when I was trying to
Oh,
produce double het pied caramels. But yeah, caramels, clowns, definitely pieds, or albinos were a big thing way back then.
okay.
Spiders. Spiders were selling for about 8,000 when I first got in.
Oh wow. Okay. Now nobody wants the
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful things, which I don't. What's your? I know that's a touchy subject, and if you don't want to get into it, that's fine. What's
I,
your opinion on that?
um, it's just there. I have quite a few different opinions on it, but because it's so dynamic. Um, as a breeder and as a businessman, I have to make sure that the choices that I make in my breeding season are going to reflect what my customers are hopefully going to purchase from me,
True.
right? And if I produce spiders, I'm not going to sell them. I have no problem with them. I don't have any in my collection anymore. And it's not because of the head wobble from my perspective. It's just because nobody wants to buy them. So why would I have an animal on my breeding team that is not going to sell? So
Okay, that
that's
makes sense. That makes sense. I know, like to me, spiders are some of the most beautiful snakes that
mhm.
it makes some of the most beautiful combos I think that are out there.
Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah. I
me,
remember
but
the
like you said, I mean, they are a harder sell, and no matter what genes you have with them, the second that spider comes across in there, it seems like it depreciates the value a little bit, which is sad.
yeah.
But I do see exactly where you're coming from with it. I really do.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, from a business standpoint, and this is what I do for a living. So I have to look at this totally different. This is the
Yeah,
only way I have to make a living so that I can pay my bills. So when I'm making the choices and decisions that I'm making, it really is based on a business decision. And I like spiders too, and I love bumblebees, but yeah, it's just not something that's going to be in my future. It's just
yeah,
not cut the grade.
I agree with you, Ken. It gets a bad rap
Yeah,
for. I mean, I like the sad thing is like there's good examples and there's bad. There's good examples of it and there's good
sure.
and bad examples.
There's low expression and high expression of
Yes.
the bubble. And if you're lucky enough to get a nice, very low expression, well, that's great. But
Yep.
some of them are so bad they can hardly even function.
Yeah. No, I've
I've
seen some of the bad ones. Luckily, fortunately, everything in here that I've bought and produced is solid.
yeah,
Like you couldn't even tell that there's an issue with them.
right,
Now, is there a trigger for them? There probably is, but everything I've done with them, they're solid snakes. I love them to
yeah,
death.
yeah. And you're right. I mean, it's a beautiful snake, and it creates some really beautiful combos.
Yeah,
Uh, just one of those sad situations. It's like the old desert, way
yeah,
back in the day when Chad and Robin used to have the desert. They were just amazing. But come to find out that the females wouldn't survive, and they wouldn't survive laying eggs, or they just wouldn't lay eggs, and it just fizzled, which is really
yeah.
sad. Is the desert, not the desert ghost, but the desert ghost is an amazing animal on its own. But the desert, it was amazing too.
Now, is there any gene like is there a gene out there that you think almost duplicates the look of the spider by chance that can give you
Uh,
almost the same result without the
yeah,
head wobble? Or
No, I can't think of. There's one, but I can't think of what the name of it is. But it sort of looks like a spider, but it's not. It's got
Okay.
another gene, and it's a different gene trait, but it sort of looks like a spider. But I can't think of it. And no, I can't think of anything else out there that has that pattern and or that problem. The
Okay.
wall so consistently. Anyway.
Gotcha. All right. No, I kind of lost track of. This is gonna be all right. Before we got 27 people in chat. Let's say thank you to the sponsor of this week's episode really quick here.
Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC is located at the All-Star Event Complex in Gettysburg. 45,000 square feet, 125 plus vendors, and top quality breeders, folks. 270 plus tables. They've got pythons, boas, colubrids, lizards, turtles, and more. If you're looking for a snake rack or an incubator, they've got sea serpents set up there, so they've got you covered. If you're a breeder looking for that missing piece for your project, or a pet owner looking for your next scaly friend, or if you need feeders for your snakes or your lizards, Gettysburg has you covered, folks. This is one show you don't want to miss. The next show dates are November 12th, 2022, March 18th of 2023, and July 15th of 2023 as well. Showtimes are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure you're there, folks. Also check them out on their Facebook, their Instagram, and their website. And this is one show, folks, you don't want to miss. Gettysburg Reptile Expo, LLC.
All right. Thank you, Joe, and the Gettysburg Reptile Expo for sponsoring this week's episode. I greatly appreciate it. It's an honor to be a part of it's an honor to be part of Gettysburg Reptile Expo as far as helping to get the name and the word out for it. All right. So let's see here. Someone had said about Hingene Woma. I lost track of. Morforge said about Hingene Woma. But yeah. All right.
Yeah, that might be what I was thinking of.
Kike, thanks for tuning in, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, everybody, smash that thumbs up for me, please. All right. What are some of the best genes that you think are on the market for the money right now that's not astronomically out of this world priced, but something that's affordable but packs a punch?
Well, I would say that the Desert Ghost is, pretty much almost hands down the best enhancer gene that we have, and not only enhances it when they hatch, but as they get old, as the snakes get older, they just start popping. They just get better looking. And you start putting that with the pieds and the clowns and so many different other Mojave, whatever, it's going to be a great combo.
DG is one of those things where I think it's going to become one of those genes where you have to have it in those combos. I really don't see it getting out of the game at all. I don't see it phasing out like some of the other genes.
Yeah. And we're all going to be comparing everything in our own collections with the Desert Ghost, because if you're into quality, that's all I think about is just quality. Well, then you have to have a Desert Ghost. It used to be you have to have something fire or special or something like that as an enhancer. But the Desert Ghost is just going to take this community to another level, I think.
No, I agree. And Phil says here, DG and the white lace, which the white lace, that thing's very, very close to DG.
It's so hot in here with that door closed. What was that? I'm sorry.
The white lace, that's like really close. That's basically the codon version.
If you could open this window, that'd be great.
White lace is like the codon version of like a DG.
What's that?
White lace is like the codon version of DG, basically. Mm-hmm. It's out of this world. It's the super form of lace, but I mean, it's Justin did a video on it, and an adult DG compared to an adult white lace. I mean, they were like neck and neck with the look.
Another gene that I'm really excited about is the cypress.
Okay. Yeah. Now, why's that?
Oh, I just like the way it changes the pattern a little bit and makes it pop, and it really enhances just an amazing. And it does a great job combining with the gold blush, which is what
Oh.
I have, and which is really exciting to me. So.
No, what what are some characteristics of your gold blush line?
Uh, well, there's quite a few, but the main one I think that you can see right off the top is that they have two yellow or gold dots right on their nose on both sides, just around the nostril area.
Okay.
Lots of yellow coming up from the belly, and the belly scales. There are pigmented scales that are literally pointing down toward the tail consistently, and so those are some of the traits. A lot of blushing. The gold blush itself is a normal looking snake. It's not any. It doesn't look anything different than a normal. It just looks like an amazing normal. Just
Okay.
like, when you're picking out a yellow belly, you can almost pick them out without looking at their bellies. If you're picking out a special, you can pick out specials because they just pop. There's not, you can tell it's not just your normal ball python. And that's the same with the gold blush. Yeah, they just pop. And as soon as you put them in with anything, it makes a total, not change in pattern so much, but in the quality. It's just like sort of like the fire,
Okay.
the way that the fire will sort of enhance the colors and bring them out and make them pop more.
Now, is there a super form of it, or?
I may have produced one a couple, 3 or 4 years ago, and I sold it.
Okay.
Yeah, I produced one that had an amazing amount of belly scales, all pointing toward the ventral area, and so this thing was just amazing looking. And I charged the guy an arm and a leg for it, but that's what he wanted. He wanted this, and I don't know so I don't know if there's a super form yet. I do know I can reproduce it. But it's sometimes difficult to see. How we're getting into 5 and 6 gene traits, and sometimes the guy that produces them doesn't even know what he's got in his
Yep.
And so sometimes with the gold blush, it's so minor, it's not something that you would even see, except
Okay.
for the understanding of the enhancement. I mean, it's like, I was watching a video the other day and somebody showed an orange dream. And, I wouldn't have been able to recognize it as an orange dream if I wanted to. I just couldn't. And so the gold blush is going to take those in my opinion, low quality type animals and really bump them up.
And just kind of bump them up that extra notch that they need.
Yeah.
Awesome. What
And
are
I
some of
mix
your
it into everything now?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what are some genes that you think combine best with the gold blush?
I have some gold blush firefly Mojaves that really look great. Some mystics that look great, because I have a line of mystics that I've been working with for 10 or 12 years, and it's very low pattern. It's very diminished pattern, and so that's one of the things that it should work well with. It does. And the cypress. I mean, Dave Hardy, who just sent me a baby snake as a gift, has a group of gold blush. What were we saying?
About the
Was
genes
that?
that will work best with it.
Yeah. I think that the gold blush and the special together are going to make an amazing group of animals. That's one of the things I'm focusing on, is the special. As I'm focusing on the gold blush, I'm also focusing on the special, and I'm going to bring the special into the Pied Clown project, which should be enhance it also.
I know. I saw that. What was it? JSA, I think, produced it. That special Pompeii.
Yeah.
That you, I mean, I can only imagine you throw pied into that yet. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Well, that's where I'm going. It's just, because I've got like 3 or 4 adult female pied clowns that are ready to go right now, about 2,700 grams, and they're ready to go. So, and I'm going to be doing some things like I have a firefly yellow belly enchi pied that I'm going to be putting into the pied clown projects too. So I'll be hopefully producing eventually, yellow belly enchi, fire pastel clown pies. Just load them up.
Those are going to be some stunning snakes.
Yeah, that's my hope. Yeah.
Phil says, what is your favorite native snake to hunt for?
The mountain king, I'd say. I also like to catch just regular California king snakes. But those are kind of rare. I catch one about every 3 or 4 years. So yeah, my favorite wild snake to catch, I would say, is the mountain king. When I'm out herping, that's what I'm really looking for. That's what I'm hoping to find. The rest of it is just sort of noise, but it's the mountain king that I'm really looking for.
Okay. Now, how often do you get to go out herping? Because you're a really busy man between everything that you do.
Yeah, I am. But I get out about once a week, twice a week.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I'm going out tomorrow.
Do you stay local, or do you kind of travel a little bit for it? Or
yeah, there's a friend of mine that's coming up from LA tomorrow, and he and I are heading up across the Golden Gate Bridge on the Sausalito side to look for red-sided garter snakes.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll work our way back and probably hopefully find some San Francisco garters.
Okay, sweet.
And then maybe some rubber boas.
Oh, okay. See, that's what, as sad as it is to say, I've never officially gone herping.
Wow.
As a kid, I went looking around. I used to catch snakes and stuff as a kid.
Sure.
Find turtles, all that stuff.
Right.
But I never officially went herping yet. So that's one thing that's on my to-do list at some point.
Well, if you ever come out here, I'll show you my spots.
I would love to be able to come out there and do that with you, Brian. Maybe at some point, hopefully in the future, I'll be able to. That would be awesome.
It's an open invitation, Jeremy.
I appreciate that, Brian. That would be really, really awesome.
Yeah,
that is like, wow. Phil, hey, I have no shame in it, dude. I really don't. Like the things I had that I found as a kid and kept as a pet. I mean, I used to have box turtles out the wazoo.
Sure.
I had a pet snapping turtle I found from a baby.
Wow.
I found a baby box turtle as well and had that for years. I mean, I had
where do you live?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I went hiking up on the Appalachian Trail when I was there about 30 years ago. And box turtle after box turtle after box turtle. The trail was just loaded with box turtles.
See, now I have not seen a box turtle. Shoot, it's been at least probably close to 15 years.
Okay.
Since I've seen a wild box turtle.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this was way back when I caught the trail over by a Redding, I guess, somewhere around there.
Yeah, Redding's actually like really close to me. That's
okay.
Maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But Tammy says she hasn't been herping much lately, but she did all the time when she was younger.
Yeah, I was out.
I have fond memories of like my grandmother and I would go for a walk just down the road from her house, and the road went through a woods, and almost every time we'd find a box turtle on the road.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like every time. And now if I'm working close to that area, I'll drive up that road. Nothing.
Yeah. Like, so what do you think happened?
It seems like they just disappeared.
You think a lot of them got killed hit by car?
That sometimes I wonder because of all the farmland, if all the pesticides don't have something to do with it too.
Sure.
That's something that's kind of always been in the back of my head because like I used to see them all the time, even across the road from my dad's house. And it went years with me seeing nothing.
Yeah, and they're meat eaters, right? They're
I think box turtles eat just about anything.
okay, so they're more omnivore. Okay.
Yeah, I think because
So
I
they
know
might have eaten stuff that's been sprayed with whatever, and
because I know like the ones I had, like it was weird. They would eat strawberries like it was nothing. They loved white American cheese. Like, I tried it one time and they loved it. I tell you what, they loved it.
I bring a blue tongue skink when I do my reptile shows, my birthday parties and stuff. And the other day I found him eating a pepperoni pizza.
Pepper.
So if you guys are wondering what you want to feed your blue tongue skinks, they love pepperoni pizza.
There you go, everybody. That is the secret. That's what was your next thought when you saw that though?
I couldn't believe it. Because I feed him dog food, and grapes and fruit, bananas and oranges and stuff, but mainly dog food. But when I saw him eating that pepperoni pizza, I just shook my head. Now I've seen everything,
That is funny. That is funny. Phil, you find them. I also have wood turtles and eastern painted turtles. See, I have no problem finding like painted turtles, stuff like that. I haven't found a wood turtle yet. That's one I found. Bog turtles already. Found a whole bunch of different stuff. Just I can't find box turtles anymore. I even have a hard time finding snakes anymore, in all honesty, around where I'm at. And I keep a huge stack of wood out in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that there'd be one that at least would decide to make a home in there, and there's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and it's getting that way out here too. I mean, I would say at least, I probably go out, twice a week and probably only find snakes, maybe 1 out of 5 trips.
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting skunked out there quite a bit, actually. And these are places that I've been herping at many, many years. So I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be that there's less and less reptiles out here. I don't know if it's the wild boar or the wild turkeys that are messing with them, but I have a feeling that it's the turkeys because they're eating a lot of snakes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I never pictured a turkey to be.
Even to tell you the truth, even crows. My wife and I were driving down our street a while back. This is years ago, and there was a baby gopher snake crossing the street. And I live in a area where you wouldn't even think there are snakes, but there was a baby gopher snake crawling across the street, and this crow came over and just started stabbing it with its beak and picked it up and ate it.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of animals that I think are sort of decimating. And where I go up in the mountains looking, herping, there's wild crows there. I mean, wild turkeys everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I never pictured turkeys as being carnivorous like that.
Oh yeah, and the reason I know that is because when I was a kid, some friends of mine and I had caught a huge garter snake. I mean, huge, close to 5 feet long or so. It was a big one.
Oh wow!
And we had it in a cage in the backyard, and he had some chickens. Well, one day we went to check on the garter snake that was in this cage in the backyard, and there was like a 1/4-inch mesh screen that kept the snake in its cage. And what we didn't know is that overnight the snake had a bunch of babies. And we walk into the backyard, and his chickens were free roaming in the backyard, and every single one of them had a snake in their mouths, and they were just gobbling up snakes like they were worms. And so that sort of triggered my thought. Well, then I'm wondering if the wild turkeys are doing the same thing, and I wouldn't doubt it at all. So that's if I have a bad herping day, I'm going to blame it on turkeys.
That works for me. That works for me. I never would have thought about it, but now you say that, I mean, it does. I mean, I could see it now. I mean, I guess it does make sense. Kingdom says, anyone interested in helping out on a YouTube live with some students, let me know. who want to share their current plans and get some feedback from 1 or 2 breeders, just message me if interested. I'm always open, Kingdom. Send me, or I can send you an Instagram message and let me. I have to
And
know like a little bit
if you
ahead of
want to
time.
get a hold of me, you can do that too.
There you go, Kingdom. You got at least 2 people, and one of them that knows a lot more than what I do. That's for darn sure. Brian knows what's going on. But yeah, let us know. Let us know. Um, Snakes eat eggs. The chickens take revenge.
Yeah.
Good thinking, Kai. Touche, touche, sir. All right. Let's see here. Where was I? Or what are some of your favorite genes and your favorite projects that are out there? It doesn't even have to be ball python related. It can be, or if there's another.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about Burmese pythons then.
All right.
So yeah, I'm just now getting into Burms. I have 2. One's an albino green, and the other one's just an albino. And the reason I have the Burms is because of the reptile presentations that I do, and they're the wow factor when I'm doing my shows and stuff. So, but I'm really getting into the Burms, and there's some really amazing stuff out there that Burms come in pieds now, and
Yes.
The one I really like is the what is it? The Labyrinth Hypo Burmese.
I think I've seen that. I think that thing is out of this world.
It is a gorgeous animal. Yeah, the Labyrinth Hypo Burmese python. And Burmese are just so gentle, I mean, they're just amazing. So
Now,
yeah, the Burms are good. And I go on to Morph Market and just kind of awe and ooh and looking at them and stuff. But the ball python projects I like are, Monsoon might be something that's really interesting coming up, except the fact that it looks so strong as Monsoon that it might be interesting to see what a Monsoon albino would look like, or a Monsoon I don't know, a Monsoon anything, a banana Monsoon might be kind of interesting.
I think someone has made a banana Monsoon already.
Oh wow!
I'm pretty sure Billy had it on one of his picks of the week.
Oh wow!
They're from Mutation Creation. I'm pretty sure there was a banana Monsoon on there.
Yeah, I'm not much into the sunset. I kind of wish I was, but I'm not. It doesn't really do much for me. So from an investment standpoint, it's a great project, that's for sure. But I'm not the kind of guy that I have to be in love with the snake to buy it.
Yep. Especially when you're spending $5-10 grand on.
And that's what's really, really good about that project, is that it's holding its value. And I remember talking to somebody, I won't mention, and you all know who it is, so I won't mention his name. But I was talking to a friend of mine a while back, and he told me he sold a pair of possible hets for $8,000. This was a few years ago, but possible hets for $8,000. I mean,
that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to buy possible hets, back in the day when I first started, people would buy the whole clutch of possible hets and just work the clutch until they got lucky and found out who the animals were that were carrying the gene traits. But yeah, because who could afford $20,000 for a pied? So or that same price for a clown, so you'd get into the possible het stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely the clown project is going to be here forever. The pied project is going to be here forever. There's definitely a lot of stuff out there that's brand new, and I can't keep track of it. I try. I go to Morph Market and dream about what I might be able to produce in a few years to catch up to the guys that are showing their good stuff. But Yeah, it's the berms are really cool, and some people are doing some amazing things even with the colubrids. Mike, what's his name? He's a guy in New York. He's producing some amazing animals.
Oh, okay.
Colubrids. Mike Panici, I think his name is. But yeah, I'm focusing right now on Orange Dream. I'm still working with some GHI stuff. I think if you can get some GHI into some pied clown projects, that might be kind of neat.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of doing my own thing over here.
I produced a really dark GHI this season, and it stinks that it's a male. But I mean, he's really super dark.
So is this a GHI combo or just GHI?
He's just plain GHI.
Okay.
And he's super, super dark.
Oh, wow.
It almost, if it was a female, I probably would have kept it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need another male because I have father, which is GHI Mojave.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of projects are you working with?
I'm Exantic everything. I'll put it that way. I love my TSK Exantic stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm really this season, hopefully I can hit my first Exantic clown. I'm doing a double het to double het. So hopefully the odds gods shine on me.
Did you produce the double hets?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. I produced the double hets. The female that I'm using is actually from its last season's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just, I've never expected her to grow as like she did because she basically blew every other hatchling out from last season away with how fast she's grown. She's 1,100 grams right in that neighborhood. And
yeah, that's why I like to see 1,000 grams in the first year. If I can get 1,000 grams, then I'm on target. If I get more than that, maybe I fed a little too heavy. But if you can get 1,000 grams in 1 year, you're floating from there.
Okay,
it just will just add up.
She's right around. I'm gonna say she's probably like a year and a half, roughly in age. Mm-hmm. So I'm pairing her up to her brother. Best case scenario, I can hit a bumblebee Exantic clown, which I think would be absolutely out of this world. And I got a really unique pastel line floating around in it as well.
What line is that? Do you know?
I don't know. I'll show her off to you real quick.
Cool. Because there are pastels and then there are pastels, and okay, there you go. Wow, that's nice. Jeez.
I mean, it's got it stays a lot brighter.
Yeah. And you're sure there's nothing else in there, huh?
As far as I know, she's just pastel. I mean, it's the double het, but.
So is she a possible het?
No. Mom was the Exantic. Dad was the clown.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
father was the clown of this snake.
Yes.
So she's het clown.
Yep, she's het Exantic and het clown.
Oh well, that's one of the reasons why she looks so good. A lot of times, recessive hets or hets will bring out that really nice coloration, and that's probably what's doing that.
See, everything that male's gone to, the patterns have been really amplified, really whacked out, and just like anything pastel that he's produced has been just out of this world. He produced a pewter, or I'm gonna screw this up, a pewter leopard het clown, and the patterns just completely blown out. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful snakes I've made so far.
Wow. Yeah, and that het clown can come in there and really show itself as weird as it may seem. There are times when I've seen my hets or double hets that they just pop, and you got to think that there's something else going on, and they're hets. It's like it's like a het pied with the markers with the railroad tracks. Well, there's something that's causing that to make that difference in that snake, and it's the recessive gene trait visually showing itself, and so it can show itself in other ways, not just in showing railroad tracks, but it can also show itself in quality. That's a beautiful pastel. That's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got Exantic, Clown, my DG. I've got some DG stuff I'm playing with. My Exantic DG pairing is one thing that's just kind of really throwing me for a loop. My pairing last season, she reabsorbed partway through. So now I have that male going to a really good looking TSK Exantic pastel female. And they locked up once, like I'm going to say 3 months ago. And they haven't locked up since. And she's still building follicles, but he's just kind of goes to the hot end of the tub and she just stays at the cold end. And that's just, it's just like, come on, man. It's like, don't screw this up. Like, don't let this be that one project that haunts me.
Yeah, no, I've had a few of those myself. Yeah.
Okay. I'm hoping, because it's still early. So I'm hoping that, end of this month, sometime middle of next month, and they're into November, that he kind of wakes up and gets his butt in gear.
And how old is the male?
He's 3.
Okay. Well,
he's produced 2 clutches for me.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So he knows what he's doing, but he's just kind of being lazy on me here at the moment.
And if she's not producing pheromones, then he's just not going to be that interested.
And that might be the case too.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I always assume that since she's building the follicles, that she's sending off all the signals, but maybe she's not.
Yeah, I know.
I've got one pair of pieds, and that's basically it. I don't really have anything else. Oh, hypo. I've got some hypo, or one hypo female growing up. Other than that, that's basically it.
And I see, what do I see over your right shoulder?
Carpet pythons. That's my girl Xena.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get diamond pythons pretty soon.
Oh, those are beautiful.
Yeah, they're definitely my favorites. Oh, that's beautiful too.
And then I've got the male behind me in the in here. But
is that a bedroom turned into a reptile room?
No, this is actually my basement. I built it's 14 by 12, and I rapidly started to realize partway through last season that this room isn't going to be enough or big enough for what I need it to do. So hopefully this coming year, I'm knocking this wall down. That's right here. And expanding it to the other portion of the basement as well. So that way it'll be half the basement will be the snake room.
Wow.
Solely because of basically the carpets is what's dictating that thought.
And what do you do for a living?
I do excavating. I do driveway prep. So I just rip out blacktop, grade up all the stone, get driveways ready for paving and parking lots and all that good stuff.
And what do you use a bulldozer for that, or
skid loader?
Okay.
Yep, skid loader with a milling head.
How long you been doing that?
Let's see. I've been doing that itself. Like I've been with this company for 14 years. So I've been there for a while. I've been on a skid loader for probably like 12 of those 14.
And so, you enjoy it?
I do, but I get tired of and I know it's going to be no matter where you go, but I get tired of stupid decisions made and you sit back and you scratch your head like, why are we doing it this way?
Sure.
But I'm kind of at that point where this is what I want to be doing. I want to be doing the snakes and I want to be doing YouTube. And I told my boss, I was like, 8 years. That is my goal. 8 years. I was like, after 8 years, I'm done. So we'll see if I can't pull it off. I've had several people say, you can do it, dude. No problem.
Sure.
I keep telling myself I can do it. I've got a little voice in the back of my head saying, give it your all. Fingers crossed we can make this happen.
just don't give up. Just persevere.
See, that's life has thrown me several curveballs, and it seems like I always tell everybody, it seems like I no sooner get it back up on my knees, and life throws me another punch and knocks me back down on my butt. But I keep getting up. It's like at some point I'll have my feet under me, and it's gonna run. It's gonna, I refuse to fail on this one.
There you go.
This is one thing I refuse to fail.
Yeah.
Sean, I didn't forget your comment here. Sean from Pine Joy says, wants to know, what do you think about the genetic testing? Is it good for the hobby, or is it going to
from my understanding, you'll be able to take a 5 or 10 gene animal that you can't visually identify and then be able to get some kind of a skin sample from it or something to test it, to then know what gene traits it is. Is that okay? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
I guess the one thing everybody's kind of worried about is, from how it sounds anyway, I think it's a great thing, but I think some people are afraid of, however, like that Poshet game, you can get, it's a gamble, but you can win on the gamble. But now people are going to be testing, and now you're going to start losing those gambles now.
Well, yeah, but from a buyer standpoint, it might be great because you kind of don't have that guessing game anymore. So
that is true.
It just depends on what side of the fence you're looking from. As a buyer, I think that's pretty cool because you'll be able to know exactly what you're working with. And if it's not a het, it's not a het. And to me, possible hets these days, sometimes I don't even mention it when I'm selling the animal because, it's just, it's a pastel het for something, so yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Awesome.
And I throw the pos hets away.
I know.
I don't mean that, I just mean that figuratively.
I know, like, that's one thing. Like, I try to avoid the 50% or the 66%. I've been trying to work everything so that way it's 100% and there's no gambling with it at all.
Right.
But with my Exantic clown, my het Exantic het clown Bumblebee that I have, he's going to his mom, and he's actually going to 3 different snakes. One, he can produce Exantics, 50% hets. The others, 2 of them he can make Exantics that are 50% het clown. And then the other one he could do either the double visual, or we could make a whole bunch of 66% hets.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But it's like, it's like that's one gamble I just got to take on it.
Yeah, and there are gambles that will work out for you. But one of the pieces of advice that I give people that are beginners is to, rather than to play the game that we used to play and we used to have to play, because possible hets, what are you going to gain by waiting 3 years to find out if it's a het, when you could save a little bit more money? Maybe I remember saving it took me 18 months to buy my first pied, but at least I had the pied to work with. And then I was producing 100% het pieds. And if you're working 50 and 60%, 66% possible hets, just save your money and buy the morph. Because you're going to potentially waste time. Years to prove it out. Don't prove it out. Just spend, get an extra $1,000 or whatever it's going to cost. Save your money and buy the morph.
There you have it, folks. Wise words. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, we're almost an hour in. All right, let's do picks of the week, everybody. Because I've got some awesome picks. I'm excited for them. So first pick of the week. I've got 5 of them too. Somehow I managed to pull 5 out, pull 5 off this week.
Okay, let's see. I said this should be fun. Let's see him.
All right, let's go. Here we go. All right. First pick. I love my Batman project stuff, but this is a cinnamon Batman. I
Wow.
think that's a really awesome looking snake. I know it's still the brown, but I don't know, it's the tone of it.
And there's
That
no
tone.
leopard in there, huh?
No. Batman's
Oh,
are
that's right.
cinnamon leopard spot nose.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. Sydney leopard spot nose
Pretty.
clown. So I love my Batman stuff. I saw that come across. I thought, yes, yes, please. All right. The next one is this thing glows.
Isn't that something?
This is a let's see, banana leopard clown.
Wow.
Which I love the orange inside that dorsal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like that is one beautiful snake, and it says she also might be jungle Woma as well. So,
in fact, that's the snake that I was talking to you about when you asked me earlier about spiders. It's the one that sort of looks like the spider effect.
Okay.
Sorry, I just.
No, you're good. You're good, Brian. You're good. See, little things triggers. We're good. We're good. All right.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous animal.
Now, here, this is one. I love my carpet python.
I was gonna say,
this is a gamma diamond jungle jag, and that. I'm sorry. I don't think you can get any more beautiful when it comes to snakes as that combo.
That there's diamond in that.
Yeah, it's a diamond jungle jag, so it's diamond jungle and jaguars got coastal blood in it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that combo makes some of the most high yellow carpets you will ever find.
Yeah, look how clean those yellows are, huh?
Yeah, that there. I mean, seeing that, I'm sure pictures don't do this thing justice. I've seen them in person, and you almost need sunglasses to look at them. Wow. They're that bright.
Yeah, that would be fun to have.
I would love. One day I will have one of those in the collection. One day. They're also very, very expensive. So,
oh really?
yeah, that's probably expensive for me at the moment. It's probably I don't know 2,000-3,000. I'd say roughly, if it would stop at that for that snake. Next pick is from my friend Riley at Riley's Reptiles, and this is his jungle carpet that he produced. I forgot to say who produced all those other things. I apologize, everybody. It says up there on the Instagram feed who produced it. I screwed up on that.
Riley's.
So, yeah, Riley's Reptiles. Riley was a guest on the show. He's a big he's big Borrelia guy. He works a couple other stuff, but he loves his Borrelia. And I do believe that's one that he produced as well. And then last but not least, I believe this man might still be in the audience, but we've got Beast Morphs with his leopard bumblebee sunset, which is not exactly what I expected that snake to look like.
Wow. And what is it? A leopard bumblebee sunset. Wow.
Yeah. I did not expect that to look like that.
So there's pastel and spider, sunset and leopard. Wow.
Yep. I did not expect that snake to look like that at all. He is, everybody, in the running for Chip from Regis Sphere Python's King of the Hill. He is in the running for that with this snake, so go over there and give him a vote. And also subscribe to Chip's channel. Chip has an amazing channel as well. But yeah, that and Beast Wars has a YouTube channel as well too. So
now you start putting Orange Dream and Super Orange Dream to that, Desert Ghost, and
I guess I kind of expected it to look more orange than what it does.
Sure,
I also didn't expect the pattern either, because the pattern looks monsoon.
Yeah, my first thought was when you first showed it, I thought, well, that's monsoon, but and it's interesting. It's not as red or sort of auburn or whatever the monsoons are.
Yeah. I was kind of blown away with what it was, because I did not expect that to look like that.
Wonder what the price tag on that's going to be.
Ooh, I don't even want to know what that price tag on that would be. I'd have to go to the bank.
Yeah, for sure.
But that is my picks of the week, everybody.
Beautiful. Especially this one.
Yeah, that's just a stunning snake there. Congrats on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. I gotta scratch in my throat or something. Leopard and spider blow up the sunset. Okay. It definitely blew that up on that one.
I'll
Big
say.
time. Let's see here. Mitzi, what's going on, girl? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. All right, here. From how the industry was when you came in, how has it changed to now?
Well, there were no cars when I no. Yeah, years and years ago, when you wanted to buy a snake from a person, you you'd look on Reptiles magazine on the back of the magazine, and it had its classified section, and you would write a letter to the breeder with a stamped self-addressed envelope inside of your envelope, and that would trigger the breeder to send you a price list. And then he would send you photographs and price lists of the animals that he had for sale. And then you would call him up and say, hey, this is the animal I want. And then they'd ship them. Shipping used to be mostly Delta Dash,
Okay.
Delta Cargo. And when you used to buy snakes, especially like boas, I remember seeing a price list, and you could buy boas by the foot. So the price was based on how long it was, and that was about it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you bought a baby, it was a particular price. If you bought an adult that was 6 feet, it was a price. If you bought an 8-footer, there was a different price. You know. And I imagine most of these came out of the wild too, way back in the day.
Okay.
And we didn't have computers.
Yeah.
So there was, the only way you could communicate was by mail or by phone. And
Now, was the community as helpful towards one another, or was it very tight-lipped? No one wanted to help you.
yeah, my experience was it just depended on who you talk to.
Okay.
And I'll never forget calling this breeder and asking him for some information about breeding boas. And I was a newbie. And the comment that the breeder made was, he had just looked on his database or whatever, I don't know. And he said that I had not been a customer of his. I hadn't purchased any snakes from him. So that they had a policy that they wouldn't share any types of information with anyone unless they had bought snakes from them. And I thought, okay, I'll thank you so much for your time. And I thought, I'm never going to do that. That's just, that left me with a bad taste in my mouth. And so that's why I open up I put my phone number out there, my email address, and continuing, if you guys ever have any questions about mite control, incubation, breeding, temperatures, whatever, I don't have all the answers, but I can probably at least help you a little bit. And if I can, then just give me a call. But yeah, it used to be very tight-lipped, and it's sad, and it's probably somewhat tight-lipped these days too. I've heard comments from breeders that, why don't you just let them go find their own way, or why don't you just let them make their own mistakes, And wow. I guess you could be that way, but that's just not how I am. So if somebody calls up and wants to, if I can take 5 or 10 years out of your growing adventure here, then yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm still new. I'm going into my 3rd season this coming season.
Mm-hmm.
So I was blessed to make friends with like Chris here from BNS Reptilia. Nathan from Infant Impossible Pythons, Danny from DTMG, like a whole list of people.
Mhm.
And like I can just call them up anytime and ask them a question, and they don't like keep any secrets or anything like that. They just
Sure.
Hey,
And
we'll help
and
you out.
and in most cases, those are the types of people that are out there. But there are some people that don't want to share. They've taken the time to learn and make their own mistakes. They don't want to, help anyone not make those same mistakes. And I just think, what the heck, why not?
Yep.
We're all in this together. We're all trying to, we're not competing. We're all just trying to do the best we can. And, we're in this hobby together. And so we might as well help each other. That's the way I look at
it. Chris, you still got to send me the bill. Hey, all the advice is well worth any price you throw at me, as long as it's got like no less than 2 zeros behind it, Chris. Remember, poor man here, Chris. Poor man. Ultrasound fund. Yeah, like I've heard like this, the whole thing on how everything was very. I don't want to say like that they would sabotage you, but that they were tight-lipped. Now I think if you were to do that, I think that word would get around pretty quick with it, and you'd kind of be sabotaging yourself at that point.
Well, and the same thing would have happened then. I mean, I'm not mentioning any names because you all know who this person is that I'm talking about. So, yeah, and some of these people that I know that are tight-lipped have been around longer than I have.
Okay.
So it just depends on the person. And I'm not saying this person is as tight-lipped as they used to be, because I would doubt it. But it just taught me a lesson that how I don't want to be.
Yeah.
You learn from your own mistakes, but you can also learn from others also.
Exactly.
And I thought that to be a mistake on his part.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with that as well. Let's see here. All right, what would you like to see change in the industry? Is there anything like that you think we can improve on, do better?
Yeah, I think when people show and they're trying to sensationalize snakes, and they're showing the snakes either biting them or getting close to biting them, and creating this sort of this audience of fear. I personally I want to go on totally the opposite end. I want people that I know to think that snakes are puppies, and they're gentle, and they're not aggressive, and they're not scary. So I'm seeing a lot of people that are just sort of teasing the animals and making them
Yep.
A little bit
Edgy.
uncomfortable. And I think that's probably a mistake. It's great for content because it gets a lot of hits, but remember, these animals are, they're just, we need to keep them. We need to respect them. And, when you start messing around and trying to get them to bite you and things like that, I don't know. It's just not my thing. I'm just the opposite. When I do my reptile presentations, my goal is to have everybody think a snake as a puppy.
Yep.
Because that's my experience. As a vet tech, I used to work with a lot of puppies, and I've worked with just about, lots of different types of animals. And I think snakes are just as gentle as could be. Sure, I've been bit hundreds of times, but, it's usually my fault. It's usually, through a feeding response or something like that. But, yeah, I think if we just, rather than to show how scary these animals are, if we went toward how gentle they are, it might be a little bit easier to make a sale, especially when, parents are involved, especially when you're selling a snake to a kid. And if their parents have seen, somebody kissing a snake rather than somebody getting bit by a snake, it's going to have a different connotation to the parent. So I'm thinking that's just the way I think.
No, I'm with you on that because, if a parent sees a snake biting somebody,
Yeah,
that's one person you just automatically yanked off the market from ever getting their kids.
exactly.
They don't want their kid to get bit. They don't
Yeah.
really realize, like people at my work, they all kind of like they're all ooh and ah because
Yeah.
I'm a snake guy. You've got 50, 60, 50 some snakes in your house. I'm the crazy person. And I
Sure.
told them, I was like, they're like, well, they're like, don't you get bit? I was like, yeah, I get bit sometimes. I was like, but I'd rather get bit by a snake than your dog
Oh yeah.
or your pet bird or
Sure.
whatever you got. I was like, it doesn't hurt. I was like, I got bit today, for instance. I was changing water bowls on one of the new snakes that came
Sure.
here, and I pushed some bedding around away from the water bowl. Went to pull the deli cup out, and this sucker gave me a jolt. I was just kind of like, what the heck?
Sure. But you know what probably triggered that strike was fear,
Yeah.
not aggression.
Yep. Exactly.
That's why I think it's when it's funny when I'm doing my reptile shows and I tell the audience that if you like puppies, you're going to love snakes. The audience is just like they're rolling their eyes and they must be thinking, what in the world is this guy thinking? But by the end of the program, and then I let the animals out, I know that it's because I've been sort of brainwashing the people to think opposite of what they've already been brainwashed to think.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have a lot of fun. And that's really at the end of my program, that's really what it's all about. It's just having a bunch of fun. Watching these kids run around with snakes wrapped around their shoulders and stuff.
And we're gonna get into your shows here as well here in a little bit, but yeah, that whole everything you do with that is absolutely amazing, Brian. Like that, it's something that I want to start to do at some point. I think I just need to get a couple more animals in the arsenal to do it, but at some point, that's something I would love to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you do, just definitely have something as a wow factor, something big, something pretty impressive, whether it's a big snake or a big lizard. That's something that would it really helps to have something to sort of end the show with, if you will.
to the big finale.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. What are some of the must-have genes in the industry for ball pythons? Like genes that you think you're crazy if you don't have them in your collection?
Well, starting out, pieds and clowns, Orange Dream, specials. I think Mojave is a good one to have around. Leopard.
Yes. Totally agree with the leopard.
Mm-hmm. And probably fire. Fire is a good one to have around.
Okay.
It's a good enhancer. Gold blush into everything.
There you go, everybody. Gold blush everything.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, definitely. If you wanted, monsoon or and definitely desert ghost. Everything is going to be compared to desert ghost now. And my only concern is that desert ghosts are going to look so nice, or desert ghost combos, and everything else is going to look not as nice. And from a quality standpoint, I wonder how that's going to affect the projects and in the industry as a whole.
But see, I think you're going to have those people that like because Desert Ghost cleans everything up so much. I think you're going to have that group of people that like that slightly more dirtier, maybe more granity look.
Right.
At the same token, it'll be kind of like the new and the vintage look.
Right. Yeah, no, and I'm sure you're right. It's just like people like different, some people like new cars, some people like the old classics, and same thing about music or whatever. So yeah, you have a good point.
And some people like to add their yellows and oranges, and you got crazy people like me that want to make everything just black and white and take away all the color.
Interesting. Yeah. That makes sense, We're all different that way.
Yep, exactly. What's up, Joe? Thanks for tuning in. All right. Let's see. We're actually kind of cruising through this list here, surprisingly. If anybody has any questions for Brian, make sure you drop them in the comments, and I will do my best to put them up there. So, I mean, you've got a man here that's got years of knowledge. You know, he's more than willing to help you. Use what you got to make use of all the knowledge that he's got because I can't come up with every question in the world. So
You've done a great job, Jeremy.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you. All right, now this is this is actually a question I had a breeder or an upcoming breeder ask me, and I thought it was a really good one.
Okay.
How often do you give your breeder females off, and for how long do you give them?
Oh, a year off, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great question because last year was the first year that I ever gave the females off. And I pretty much, I almost didn't breed anything last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took the season off. My animals took the season off. And this season will be totally different. But yeah, I only hatched out 2 clutches last year.
Oh, so wow. Okay.
Yeah, I just either wasn't in the right frame of mind or just I wanted to give the animals a break, because like I said, I don't give breaks. I mean, it's if the animal's showing me the good weight and good conformation going into the breeding season, she'll get bred.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's because when I forget who had even asked me that question, and what I had told them was basically what you said was, if she's up to weight, she's she's showing me all the signs. Mm-hmm. I'll throw the male in, and she's going to make that decision whether she goes or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, if the animal looks good and is in good health and in good weight, in my opinion, there's no reason not to.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of questions now rolling in here. All right, let's see here. Chris from BNS asks, is Gold Blush attached to Mojave or is it its own gene?
Yeah, it's its own gene trait. I isolated the gene about 8 years ago or so and have been working with it since then. I started working with it many years ago, way before 8 years ago, but I didn't think it was anything but a normal until I started reproducing the same quality and the same visual, traits that I could actually repeat and consistently repeat. So yeah, it's at least right now it's a dominant gene trait. I don't know if there's a super. I'll say at least at this time probably not. But yeah, it's just amazing what it does. It's just I love it.
I have to look into it a little bit more. I'm gonna have to look into it because I'll be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen one. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it.
It's probably the rarest gene trait in the world right now.
Oh, okay.
Because nobody has it. I didn't even put it on I didn't even put it on ball python. What is it called? World of Ball Pythons.
Yeah, it's
on there, but I didn't put it on there. Somebody else did. And
okay.
But yeah, I proved it out a few years ago. It has nothing to do with Mojave. Now it might have been that it came in through the Mojave somehow, just sort of a sleeper gene trait. But yeah, it looks like a normal, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous normal.
If you can, maybe if you think about it, send me a picture of one of yours, Brian, just that way I can, because you've got to have some of the best examples there are of it. So I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, there's only 2 or 3 people that I know of that have them.
Okay.
Dave Hardy, and then there's this other guy. I can't remember his name, but yeah, there's this, and I think Dave ended up with it by mistake. I sold him a snake, and he bred it, and it produced a Gold Blush. So, because Gold Blush is running throughout my whole collection, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, it's a beautiful animal, but it's a normal looking animal,
Hey, I don't care what anybody says. Normals are still beautiful in their own right. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, they don't have all of the neat, intricate patterns that you can get with a bunch of these other genes, but they're still beautiful.
Right. Yep.
Let's see here. More Forge asks that they would like to know how you see the ball python community now versus 5 years from now.
Oh, it's just going to get better. It's going to get stronger. The animals we're only going to improve on the quality, the beauty of these animals. So yeah, I think the next 10 years, 20 years is all good. I don't see anything negative about the community, the projects. People thought that we were pretty much done with the building of the projects and the paint jobs and stuff years ago, but we haven't even touched the surface yet. I don't think.
I don't think so either.
And there's going to be more stuff that comes out. There's stuff still coming out of Africa. And people like Billy and Kevin and those guys will probably get a hold of something in the future that will, be in the realm of a monsoon or a sunset, something. But yeah, I think it's all positive. I'm all excited.
Now, what do you think about how the market is right now? Because I've been hearing, people say off and on that everything's really starting to slow up, and it's harder to move animals right now. Have you been hearing or seeing any of that? Or
Nope. I'm sold out.
Okay.
So you're asking the wrong guy.
Well, that's good to hear, though. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I pretty much sell out every year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not that person that's having a negative concept of what's happening. It's all positive with me.
Okay. That's good, though. I'm happy to hear that.
And I was hearing something the other day. I think it was Brian Cusco doing an interview with Bob Vu. Is that his last name? Vu?
Yeah, Bob Vu.
Okay. And both of them were talking about selling their snakes and which ones were selling faster than others. And both of them said that their more expensive snakes sold faster and were gone. And the less expensive snakes were still in their possession. And so that comment alone, now we were talking two people, but it's Brian Cusco and Bob Vu. They're pretty well known and they've been around for a while. And so I think based on that comment and others that I've heard, if you have a negative concept about this, the community or the projects, I'd say, look at your own attitude or something like that, because, it's all I think it's all positive. I don't think Justin would have anything negative to say, or Miguel.
Oh yeah, no.
So it just depends, And just a note for a lot of the beginner breeders, look at someone like Miguel, what he's done in 4 or 5 years that he's been here in our community. And he's selling clutches, $100,000 clutches. And the only way he has gotten there is by spending money. He has purchased and invested probably, I don't know, 200,000, 300,000, I don't know. But if you're going to get into this breeding and you really and you're going to breed to pay your bills, it's really important that you really have some pretty rare animals in your collection. Because when it really comes down to it, if you're trying to sell some animals to make a living, if you have a pastel, let's say, and just the thought of how much it's going to cost to feed it, before it's almost 2 or 3 months old, you've probably spent more money on feeding the animal than the animal's value.
Yeah.
So just just be aware of that. And so I always tell new people that are talking to me, I would buy the most expensive animals you can possibly within your budget, even if you have to save for it. Don't get yourself in debt and things like that. But when you're picking your projects, pick the ones that are that are showing longevity. Get into the recessives. The recessives are going to be the ones that hold their value. The dominants and codominants. I mean, I remember literally a person that I knew lived right down the street paid $35,000 for a banana.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
For a banana. This is years ago, obviously, but I knew this person that paid $35,000 for a banana. Now, what do you get for a banana? $100, $200?
Yeah, I'd say probably a single gene bananas. You're probably talking about 100, maybe something somewhere in there.
So those are the scary types of projects to get into. So literally, get into the the recessives are going to hold their value. And again, spend as much money as you possibly can within your budget. Don't go into debt. And like I said, I saved for 2 years, almost 2 years, to buy my first pied. So, but I'm glad it may have taken me 2 years, but now I have produced, hundreds of animals from that one pied that, have paid for itself many times over.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. Let's see here. Kingdom Pythons wants to know, what are some of the combos you're working with Trick?
I have no trick.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of snakes, and I don't have a lot of combos. Or a lot of gene traits. I mean, I'm probably working with 20 gene traits, maybe less, probably less. And most of them are recessives.
Okay.
Most of them.
Where are you at on your recessives? Like, obviously you're on doubles. Are you working on or on triples, or do you already have the triples?
No, I'm 70 years old, and I'm probably not going to live long enough to really see the outcome of producing triple hets, because you're talking about producing them, then waiting 3 to 4 years, in some cases maybe even 5 if the female doesn't eat real well, who knows. And then triple hets. What's the odds? 1 out of 64 or something like that.
So here's because I just got a set of triple hets brought over to me that I'm supposed to work with. Okay. I think it's like 1 in 250 something.
And from a business standpoint, double hets and triple hets are just not going for anything. So based on my age and the likelihood of me producing triple hets, I would rather, like, what I really want to do is I want to get a pied caramel, or excuse me, a pied ultramel, and bring it into my pied clown project, so I can produce quicker pied clown ultramels. So if I produce double hets, it's going to take me so long. But if I purchase a ultramel pied and then breed it to a pied clown, well, then I'll produce pied, pieds that are double het for clown and ultramel. So that will get me. That's going to be a quicker way to get to that project.
Okay. Is
to purchase the pied ultramel, rather than just, because I have an ultramel and I have a pied clown. So if I bred the ultramel to the pied clown, I'm going to produce triple hets. And I don't want to do that. I produced double hets years ago when I started my pied clown project, and I've probably been into that project now for 12 years, almost 15 years. So yeah, going into triple hets is not something I'm just not interested in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Straight Blast says that they're vending their first show next week. Going to have a really small display, but doing it for the experience. Kind of a last minute decision. Any tips or advice?
When you have people walk by your booth, don't let them walk past you without saying hello. Everybody that walks past my booth when I do a show, I get either eye contact or I say hi. And I'm trying to draw them in either I'll ask them immediately, what are you looking for? And I usually have display animals. Oh, I shouldn't say display animals. I usually have animals that are out on the table, like a big berm or something that will draw people to the table. So
Okay.
that works great for me. And if you can have something out that people can hold, so that when the kids come by with their parents, you can actually sort of teach them by letting the kids hold the animals just how gentle these animals really are. And it's the parents that you've got to buy into. You've got to get them. Now, if it's a adult that's purchasing, that's a totally different thing. But I always like to have an animal out at my booth where people can hold. That's just me. But yeah, don't just watch them walk by. Say hi. Make some kind of contact. Pull them into your table.
Okay. Because I know I'm going to be vending my first show as well, November 12th there at Gettysburg Reptile Expo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that. Now I've gone and hung out with a bunch of my friends there. And so I know what I'm in for. It's just a matter of I got to make sure it's actually having all the stuff that I'm going to need, making sure I actually have it and don't leave the house without it.
Sure. And just put a list together, label maker, whatever, and lights and, your all that stuff. And
Power
make sure you have extension cords. Make sure you have plenty of paper towels, because there's probably a chance that one of these animals or more will go to the bathroom during the weekend. So you got to make sure you're able to clean up those messes.
All right. Let's see here. Again, if anybody has any more questions, drop them in the comments. All right. How about, can you give us some tips on making breeding a full-time thing?
Yeah. Hang on one second.
No, you're good.
Okay. What was the question again?
Can you give us some tips on how to make breeding your full-time job, as far as, just only doing snakes?
Buy expensive. Don't buy recessives. Get that desert ghost. Get that clown. Get that pied. Get those orange dreams. Get that color in there. Remember, when you're at an expo and there's 10 or 12 or maybe even more ball python breeders at the expo, why is somebody going to buy your animals versus somebody else's animals? And it's usually not going to be price. I don't think so. It's going to be quality. And so when you guys are starting your projects, and let's say you start with a pastel or whatever, make sure it's the most beautiful pastel that you've ever seen. Every animal that you have in your collection should be the best product of that combo or whatever that you've ever seen. And if you continue to build your projects by having that top quality, the best quality that you can produce, then you're going to continue on an annual basis, probably, to produce better and better, higher quality animals year after year. If my job as a breeder is to really produce higher quality animals next year than I did this year, it just makes sense, because I'm holding animals back every year, and those animals are usually better than their parents. So as I'm producing annually, my hope is to produce higher and higher quality. And quality is a kind of a unique thing, because it's very subjective. But there are some basic things, like when you have a yellow scale, you don't want it tipped. You don't want tipping. Tipping is where you have a yellow scale, and on that yellow scale there's a black mark. That black mark is going to diminish the quality of that yellow scale. So when you're getting right down into the nitty gritty, make sure that those yellow scales are pure yellow, not tipped yellow. And that when you're working with high quality animals, the netting between the scales, the skin between the scales, should be the same color as the scale. So there's a lot of different nuances from the quality standpoint. But if you go to different places in the world, like Indonesia, when they have reptile expos, their expos are like first, second, third place beautiful snakes. I mean, they're judging them. They actually have. In fact, Brian Barczyk went back to Indonesia a few years ago and was a judge at one of their expos to judge and give prizes out to those that had the most beautiful animals in the show. It's sort of like Dave Kaufman. When Dave Kaufman does his videos,
his Rattle On Award.
Rattle On Award. Well, they do that in Indonesia, but there's trophies that are given out, and I'm guessing cash prizes and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's a totally different, some totally different mindset in Indonesia, and I'm sure there's other places in the world that look at this totally different.
Yeah. See, that's funny though. When you said about the tipping aspect, that's one thing. Like in the carpet world, the tipping's like a really good thing.
Okay.
So it's funny how the carpet, like, it's just funny how like ball python stuff and like Morelia stuff, like every niche community has its own set of, I'm going to say, rules to play by and all that stuff. I think it's really kind of neat.
And also, I mean, just look between you and I like bright colors. You like dark colors, so you're going to, it's all subjective, but there are some basics like tipping is to me, I don't want tipping. That diminishes the value of the quality of the animal and may not have anything to do with the value on the price standpoint. But for me as a breeder, if it's not top quality stuff, I'm not going to breed off of it. Just not going to do it. There's no reason. Again, it's all subjective.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let's talk about the reptile shows. We're at that point. Sure. We're going to talk about the reptile shows.
All right.
So how did you get started doing this, and what gave you the idea to even start it?
Mm-hmm. So my kids are now in their 30s. And when they were in elementary school, I was asked by their science teacher to come in, and she knew I was breeding colubrids at the time. And she asked me to come in and do a talk to her class about reptiles. So what ended up happening is I ended up talking to the whole school. I took a day off work, and we just had class after class, and then we just class after class after class. And so I did that little thing, the educational thing, and didn't know what the heck I was doing, didn't know what to say, didn't nothing. And so then a few weeks after that, I got a phone call from one of the parents of one of the students that were at the school, and they had seen my program or what. It wasn't a program, it was just a talk. And the lady asked if, she told me that her son was having a birthday party, and she wondered if I could bring my snakes to his birthday party. And I said, yeah, sure, I'd be glad to do that, because I've always loved show and tell, And so anyway, she says, well, how much do you charge? And I said, I don't charge anything. I'd be glad to do it for free. And she says, no, I don't feel right about that. She goes, how about if I pay you $100? And I thought, whoa, okay, I'll take your $100. So I did it. I went to her house, did a little talk on snakes and reptiles. And then a few weeks later, got another phone call from another woman that her son had been at the party that I had just done and wondering if I could bring my snakes to her party. And so then when she asked me how much do I charge, I said $100 because that's what I had already gotten paid. So, so she said, fine. And so it just started from there and started slowly snowballing to the point where maybe in about 2 or 3 years, I was doing maybe 3 or 4 a month or something like that. And it would give me some extra cash, some extra pocket money. And then years later, I got laid off after working 30 years at the same company. I was in upper management, had a great job, and thought I was going to, retire at the company. Well, I got totally shocked and got laid off. And I felt sorry for myself for a couple of days. And then I wondered if I could, because I'd already had somebody paying me $100 a reptile show. And I thought, you know what? I wonder if I raised my prices and started doing these shows, I wonder if I could make a living, if I could pay my bills. So I started going out and doing cold calls where I would walk into a school with an albino ball python wrapped around my neck, unannounced, uninvited, walk right in and make this impression, right? And usually it was the wrong impression because most people are scared of snakes. I mean, I literally had people running out of the offices when I would walk in because they were so scared. So that technique didn't work. And so anyway, then I started walking in with a gym bag, and the snake went in a bag, a snake bag. But yeah, so when I would talk to the receptionist, I would introduce myself, give her a business card, and let her know that I do educational presentations in schools with reptiles. And then I would ask her, if you'd be interested, I have one of my snakes right here. Would you like to see it? Well, if I could get the secretary to okay that for me to let that snake out, the whole office would just come running to the front office, teachers, principal, or whatever, and just sort of start surrounding us. So anyway, I just started doing more and more cold calls, 10 or 12 a day, and every day. And I was told no hundreds and hundreds of times. But those times that I was told yes, I would be able to get in there and do the school. And so it just started growing. And I had been given a 6-month severance package from the job that I'd had. And I thought, if I can get this, if I can make it in this 6-month period, and I can do it and really make it work, well, then who knows? Maybe I can actually pay my bills doing this, And so at that 6-month period, I was doing about 10 or 12 programs a month. And and this year we were, some of our best months were like 38 to 40 programs in 1 month.
Sheesh.
So it's paying the bills, and it's lots and lots and lots and lots of fun. I just have a blast. I can't wait. I can't wait to do the next party or the next program. I'm so excited.
Well, see, you're getting to you are basically like one of the biggest ambassadors for the reptile community in that aspect, I think.
Sure.
I mean,
you're
looking those kids left and right by doing
over
all these
50,000 children have now handled my animals, and that's just the kids. I don't even the adults don't even make it to the equation. I only count kids, and over 50,000 children have now handled my animals. And one of the reasons I sell out every year is because the people that I do my programs for want snakes for their kids.
Yeah. I believe that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And I'm not selling, $50 snakes to parents. Sometimes I'm selling $400 and $500 snakes to parents for their first snake. And, they want a really nice snake, and they're buying pieds and things like that. And so, yeah, it's just great. It's just a blast. And, I have a 5-star rating on Yelp, which is really cool. I have about 150 reviews on Yelp. Are you familiar with Yelp?
I was going to say, all right, you're going to laugh at me. I have no idea what Yelp is.
Okay. And I would imagine there's probably others out there that don't. But yeah, I always ask my, the customers how they find out about me, because they find out about me in so many different ways. But it's mostly on the internet. And I do have a website, and I am on Yelp and on Instagram and YouTube. But I'm not doing YouTube much anymore. I'm more on Instagram. I'm on Instagram almost every day.
Okay, I was gonna say, I noticed it's been a while since you posted a YouTube video.
Yeah, it's been over a year, and so yeah, I'm we keep raising our prices, and the business continues to grow. So and if anybody out there wants some coaching and mentoring and about how to do these reptile shows, I'll share everything with you. Yeah, I have no secrets, and I'm glad to help. I have a friend of mine who's maybe even watching this right now, in Wisconsin, I believe he's living. And I started mentoring him about 3 or 4 years ago. And he's now doing about 20 programs a month, every month.
Oh, wow.
And he's paying his bills with his programs, and he's also having a blast. And it's easy. It's
Oh, go
easy.
ahead.
It's just an easy thing to do. It's just, it really comes down to doing show and tell,
Yeah.
and I don't, I don't get heavy into the sciences. I don't get heavy into the physiology or anything like that. I'm just there to teach them that they have been brainwashed to think that snakes are aggressive and dangerous. And I'm there to reverse the brainwashing. And that's what I do. And sure, I teach them about, the fact that they can't blink, that that they're cold blooded. And we talk a little bit about a lot of different things. And then I bring the kids up for audience participation. I usually showcase the birthday child during that
Okay.
time, and then I have the adults. I bring the adults up and blindfold them and put have tegus kissing them and things like that. And it's just based on fun. And by the time I'm done doing the presentation, I let all my animals go onto the table that I'm working from. And everyone that wants to gets to touch and hold everything that I bring. And I think I may not be, but I think I'm the only person in the country that does that. Just totally lets them go. And it's a big free for all. But I've also given them, the kids and the adults, instructions what not to do. Don't touch their heads. Don't stare into their faces. And one of the biggest rules I have is don't scream. So we're really trying to maintain a very calm, very quiet type of atmosphere during this hands-on segment, and it works. And I keep getting business, and I'm paying my bills. So, I couldn't ask for anything better.
That's so cool. Old man wants to know if you would be their mentor.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a call. 408-981-6694, and I'll help out any way I can. And if you guys are serious about this, you can use my text on my website. You can plagiarize everything except my photographs. If you want to use all the text on my website, go for it, but just leave my photographs with me.
And all of Brian's information is in the description down below as well, everybody. Well, I know you and I were also, Brian, we're talking about how that's something that I'd like to get into here in the near future. So I'm definitely going to be hitting you up on that. Now, with the school thing, because I would really like to get, especially like kind of start doing the school stuff as well. Now, would you recommend, like, I don't know if this day and age, if you'd be able to even walk into a school like that anymore.
Yeah, you can. I walk into them all the time. Yeah. Just walk right.
Okay. All right. Because that's one thing, like, I'd be nervous to do that. But I mean, at the same token, I think that's probably one of the best ways to do it, because you're there, you're face to face. It's not like you're screwing around on the telephone or anything.
Remember, most people are afraid of snakes. So that's, you're handicapped right off the get-go. So if you can get somebody in that office to allow you to take that snake out, or lizard, whatever you have, you're pretty much in there. You've got them almost. I mean, yeah, the success rate, if I can get that secretary, I call him the gatekeeper. If I can get that gatekeeper to allow me to bring that snake out, then most people that were afraid of snakes to begin with, then that's when I start to show them how not to be afraid. There's really nothing to be afraid. And I mean, I get to the point where I'm kissing snakes and, things like that, to show these people that this is not a dangerous, aggressive animal. It's just the opposite.
See, that's cool. Because, I'm definitely going to be hitting you up on how to go about doing that and all those steps. And we'll cover a little bit more on that as well here too. Like, what are some of the big, like, needs, other than obviously you've got to have animals? Like, needs as far as, like, do you need any special insurance for doing it?
So I have a $2 million liability insurance policy that I can give you my insurance agent's name and all that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But yeah, I have a $2 million liability insurance policy. And that's all I need. Okay. And in most cases, 99% of the time, they don't ask for it.
Oh, really?
And if they ask for it, then I give it to them. And some of the schools actually want to be they want the name of the school to be added to the policy, so that they can somehow, I don't know, gain some type of protocol or whatever. But yeah, it's the liability insurance policy. I'm also I have a a business bank account that you're going to want that. You're going to want a what's it called? A seller's permit.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're going to need one of those if you're going to do an expo anyway. If you didn't know that, you're going to need a seller's permit.
Okay, I didn't know that because like here it seems like everything's kind of very lax.
Okay, well that may be the case. Here in California, it's mandatory. You have to have a seller's permit. They won't even let you in the door as a breeder.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just so much fun. And I'll be doing another one in a few days from now. And like I told you earlier, I did 5 this weekend. And that's the way most weekends are.
And you go all over the place too, don't you? Like, I mean, you don't just stay local. You do some driving here and there.
Yeah, I went to Napa a few months ago, which is above the Golden Gate Bridge, about 100 miles past the Golden Gate Bridge. So it was I think I charged $800 for that show and got it. And so, yeah, it's the further I drive, the more expensive it is. I'll drive wherever you want me to. 100 miles each way pretty much is pretty average. But but I do a lot of programs. I mean, I did a program right here today about 2 miles from my house. So the ones that are local. And here's another thing: if you're going to do cold calls at schools, keep your cold calls close to your house so that you don't have to drive 40 miles, 30 miles, or 20. So keep your cold calls close to your house. And you're going to want a flyer. You're going to have something like this.
Okay.
Okay. And then on the back of it, I have just everything, including, wait.
Let me put you up on the big screen here quick. Hold on.
And here's pricing on the bottom left, here's the pricing. And I have all my contact information and, photographs of snakes and kids having fun. And it's the same thing out here. Oops, there we go. And when I put my animals in my acrylic pillar, the pied is always on top. Always. And it's the pied, and I bring a blue-eyed Lucy.
Okay.
Like I said, I only bring 4 snakes and 2 lizards, a blue-tongue skink and a tegu. And then I have my 8-foot albino green Burmese, who's just a baby, but yeah, you want a wow factor. You don't have to have a wow factor, but I like it.
So at some point, I feel like you could start off without the wow factor.
My friend in Wisconsin has no wow
factor to throw in.
Yeah, you don't have to have a wow factor. My friend in Wisconsin doesn't have a Burm. All he has is ball pythons and a blue-tongue skink, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't have a tegu.
Sean, no, you're right, Sean. We are supposed to have a propagation license, but from what I'm told, there's a lot of people out there that don't do it. I know I will be getting mine.
A propagation license for the animals that you guys are working with?
Yeah, like to be able to sell the hatchlings and stuff.
Hatchling ball pythons or hatchling indigenous species?
Hatchling ball pythons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, because here in California, if you're going to sell cow kings, because they are here, they're indigenous to California, we have to have not a seller's permit, but what did you have on the screen there?
Propagation
permit. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a certain number. I don't know if they do it again anymore, but we used to have to do it. You have a propagation permit number that has to go with that animal when the animal is sold, and Fish and Wildlife will check into it sometimes. It gets kind of it's just convoluted.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, if you read through all the fine wording of all the PA rules and stuff, it gets very confusing as to what they're trying to tell you with these
I'm
things.
on. Excuse me, just 1 second.
You're good.
Can you please?
Are you going to be long?
I don't know. I'm in the middle of something. I have to stay in the middle. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're fine, Brian. You're fine. But like at first, if you read through it at one point, it sounds like if you're breeding local species, then you need that permit. But if you're not, then you don't. But if you're doing it as a hobbyist breeder, then you don't need it.
Okay.
Like there's so many back and forths and gray areas that I think a lot of us just kind of like we're all confused for the most part as to what do we really need and what don't we need.
And who controls that? Fish and Wildlife, or
Fish and Wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes for like it's good for like 5 years or something like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. We don't have that in California.
All right, yeah, Chris from BS, he's my local friend and breeder, but he's been doing shows for over 5 years. No one's ever asked for his permits or anything.
Yeah, and and I know that the sellers permit numbers are they tell you that you need to have them on hand, but I've never been asked for them.
Okay.
So. But
no, this is really we'll get back onto the reptile shows thing, but this whole license and permits thing kind of got me thinking. What's your thought? I heard about some of these shows are starting to make you have to test your animals that you're going to be selling at expos for like NIDO and all this and that. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't like it.
So I kind of thought it was just kind of like, I don't know. It seems like it's being awful.
And whose idea is that? Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I think it was. I forget what big shows it was.
So have there been issues in the past with people buying and selling very sick animals that would drive something like that?
I think it was that NIDO scare we had here a couple months ago. I think that started driving that whole
Yeah, I don't know.
The whole thing there. I can't tell you the shows off the top of my head because I don't remember, in all honesty. But I remember that there were a couple of shows that they were trying to make it that you were going to have your animals tested, and you're going to have to produce papers saying that they're clean.
Yeah, that's too much government for me.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I thought too.
Yeah, I don't want people telling me what, and then that's going to cost money, so somebody's going to have to pay for that. It's probably going to come out of the breeder's pocket. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are going to be sick snakes. The animals get sick.
Angie and Jeff there at Celtic Ball said that started at Tinley this year.
Really? They tested your snakes? And how would they do? Every snake you bring to the show, they're going to test it?
Jeff, Angie, can you guys answer that for us? Like, because I don't know exactly how
did they test them?
Yeah, I had thought I heard Fries. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I really do. That goes towards the ultrasound fund. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
Very nice.
Yeah, Angie says that they were at Tinley and they were tested.
Huh.
Each different species were tested.
Each species. Huh. So if they're not testing every snake, what I don't know. Okay.
We can just chalk it up as that's government being government.
Yeah.
They come up with a rule and it makes no sense half the time.
Yeah. I would like to know what the reasoning is behind that. There might be a good reason for it until I hear a good reason. And having, and you're going to find sick snakes at a reptile show. Snakes are one of the most difficult animals to read when it comes to their well-being, as far as, whether they're healthy or not. They don't communicate to us like a dog will. A dog, if it's sick, a dog is sick.
Yeah.
Doesn't wag its tail or anything. But snakes are really difficult to read. There's been a lot of people that will say, I've never had a respiratory infection in my life, but I hear them saying that one day I had a snake and the next day it was dead, and it's probably I think respiratory infection is probably one of the most common issues out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I would be more afraid of, to tell you the truth, on a day-to-day basis.
Jeff and Angie say each species had to be tested. They had a vet walking around doing the testing.
Huh.
Wow.
Well, if that's what they have agreed to, that's what they want to do, then but it's not something I would suggest. No.
1 second here, Fries. Let me figure out how to get. You guys might hear the
elections affect every day. Be ready.
There we go. Let's see here, Fries. Where are you at? There you are. There you go, Fries. You should be blue now. All right, we'll get back to off of that. We'll get back over to the reptile shows and stuff. So,
Okay.
What are some of the species you would say that you would highly recommend are perfect for doing the shows?
Ball pythons, blue-tongued skinks, tegus. Sure, you're gonna, boas do good. I used to bring the kings and the corns and the milk snakes. That's when I started having people get bit.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in the day when I first started doing it, because I didn't have ball pythons, all I had was colubrids. I remember doing one show where I had 7 people get bit.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's usually based on, it's a fear response. It's not aggression or anything like that. So yeah, when I switched over to ball pythons, I started bringing them, and as long as I can, help the audience to understand that, the reason why we call them ball pythons is because if they feel scared or threatened, they'll roll up into a ball to protect their heads. So I always tell the audience just to make sure you don't grab the snakes by their heads. And there's a lot of instruction. There's a lot of education that goes along with the program, so that by the time we're done with the educational side of it and the audience participation side of it, that people, and especially the kids, are feeling comfortable enough to come up to the table and pick up snakes and hold them.
So colubrids, everybody, be careful.
Yeah. And colubrids, these king snakes and milk snakes, a lot of them are snake eaters. So if you get the scent of a snake on your skin or arm or hand or whatever, you're gonna, probably some of your audiences that have worked with colubrids before know that if you're holding a California king snake, it's not uncommon for that Cal King to just start chewing on you. They don't strike at you. They'll just take your thumb and start swallowing your thumb.
I saw videos of people, the snake starts eating their thumb. It's just kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
And because ball pythons eat mice and rats and whatever else, that doesn't happen. So once I realized that, it quickly switched over from colubrids when I did my shows, and the ball pythons were great. Like I said, 50,000 kids, and we have not had a single bite. Where before I got 7 kids bit in one day.
No, did anything become of that, or was everybody kind of understanding about it?
Because they were just, colubrid bites. It wasn't anything serious. But I did have about a 7-foot boa bite a kid in the head one time, and there was blood everywhere. And I ended up calling the kids' parents when I got home that night, because we had to stop the show. Blood everywhere. I didn't charge the people for doing the show for them or anything, and I phoned the father the night of and explained to him, just keep it, clean it, keep it clean. Don't worry that don't worry, the snake isn't venomous or anything like that. And the father was really cool about it. And I called up the following day to make sure that when the kid went to school that he was okay or whatever. And the dad said, you know what? He's milking this. And it was only like an 8 or 9-year-old kid. And he says he's at school telling everybody he got bit by a 15-foot boa constrictor. And he's the hero of the school now, because he's the one that was bit by this snake. And I'm sure he's probably showing him the holes in his head or whatever. But it became a very positive experience. It was great. And it was all because of the dad's attitude, really. It was all about attitude.
It was probably also a big thing was the fact that you were contacting them. You were concerned. That had to speak volume as well.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure it at least made it more, comfortable for the dad. And I was very concerned. I mean, you got this kid that's been bit by one of your snakes and in the head, you know how vascular your head is. And there was just blood everywhere, going down his face. And it was not good.
And then on top of it, snake bites in general just bleed like crazy. Like it's that darn saliva.
Yeah, but that's the only time it's really been a serious issue. But for the last 10 years, nothing. Yeah.
Now, would you recommend having like several, like doing it basically your setup where you have like basically 6 animals? Like, is there a cap where you think that too much is too much?
As far as the quantity of animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the quantity I bring. It's a little diversity. I bring 4 ball pythons, a blue tongue skink, an 8-foot, a baby Burmese python, and then the tegu. And I think it works out great. Okay. I wouldn't change anything about it right now.
Until you find that next awesome thing to add that extra wow factor.
Yeah. But to tell you the truth, I don't know how at least at this point in time, it's as wow as it can get. I mean, I get nothing but 5-star ratings on Yelp. And so that tells me that the parents and the teachers are at least, happy with the animals. And that's great. That's what I want, is to really try to change people's minds about reptiles, because, people, a lot of kids love these animals. They just love them, like we used to do, and we still do, obviously.
I know. Yeah, growing up, my grandmother was scared to death of them.
Sure.
And I absolutely loved them. Obviously, still do. I know. Like she would probably she passed years and years ago, but she would probably have a complete fit if she saw her great granddaughter coming down here, and just all about the snakes. My 2-year-old daughter just loves the snakes. She comes down, she always wants to hold them, pet them. She talks to them, like she just every day she's got to be down here. And I know for my grandmother would just roll over.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. When I start my programs, it's very easy for me to notice which people in the audiences are very concerned. You can see in their eyes, and but it's really rewarding to see that same person that was literally shaking in their boots, and you can just see their eyes popping out by the end of the program, holding on to a Burmese python and talking baby talk to it. That's a successful program for me, and one where none of the animals go to the bathroom. That's always good too.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
yeah,
Okay, here's a good one for you. Today I'm doing a reptile party, and I have one as part of the audience participation segment. I have one of the parents come up and I blindfold them, and I've just had their child kissed on the cheek by a blue tongue skink. So I asked the parent to come up and help me, and they think they're going to get kissed by the blue tongue skink. Well, then I go ahead and blindfold them, and I bring out the tegu, and the audience goes crazy. And then I bring the tegu up to the person's face, and the tegu is just slapping that tongue right on the person's face, and the audience is going crazy. And then we'll take the blindfold off of the person, and they, and I get all sorts of reactions. I mean, I had one reaction, one lady, where I was in a sort of a field at a park area, and she was being kissed by the tegu, and I had her take the blindfold off, and she literally ran 50 or 60 feet. I mean, she didn't stop running. She just kept running. So it's just, you never know how people are going to react to this stuff. And it's so much fun. But it's all about teaching people that, the animals are an animal that they can keep in their house, and they're easy to take care of. And you only have to feed them once a week. They're non-allergenic, and, lots of stuff like that make the sale,
So I always tell everybody they're easy. When you think about it, you can buy a dog for what? All but $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a snake for $1,000, and it'll outlive that dog 3-4 times.
Mm-hmm.
As long
the record I think is 48 years.
Okay.
And that was a ball python.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always tell people it's like if you want to get a pet, it's probably one of the best investment pets you'll ever get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can sit there and watch TV with them. And that's what I did with my tegu. When I got my tegu, I purchased him when he was about a week old, and I would bring him into my house and have him lay on me, and we would watch TV together for hours and hours at a time. And I never let him down. I never did anything but just kept him on me, and talking to him and touching him and talking to him and touching him. And before you know it, that tegu, he's like my best buddy. He follows me around the yard now, and he's just he's so cool. But yeah, there's a technique that I'm also a falconer. I don't know if I told you that, but in falconry, there's a technique called manning. And when you catch a wild bird of prey, what falconers do is they spend the first 18 hours nonstop with that bird. They touch it, they hold it, they talk to it. And the goal is to teach the bird, or let the bird, or hopefully teach it, that it doesn't have to be afraid. It doesn't have to be threatened. And then if you can, then you start feeding it. Because if you can't get that bird to eat within 24, 48 hours, you got to let it go. Because its metabolism is just the opposite of a snake. It's very fast. And they're metabolizing food really quickly. So if they don't eat in the first 24, 48 hours, you got to let them go. So what you do is you just sit with them for 18 hours nonstop. And what I would do is just get in my bathroom. And if I had to go to the bathroom, I just went, and I would sit there and hold on to this bird. And before you know it, the bird is eating out of your hand. Before you know it, it's flying to you. And it's just a matter of time before that trust, or at least that relationship, starts to build. But it's that first 18 hours. And so that's what I did with my tegu. That's, and he is just as gentle as could be. He's just amazing.
That's really cool. All right, now here's my question on that. How do you go about catching one?
So I used
that's not easy.
It actually is. It's just like anything else. You just have to have the right gear or equipment. There's a trap called a snare trap, and it's made out of a 1/2-inch wire mesh, and it's got sides and ends to it, and then the top of it is domed, and you tie like 60-pound test fishing line, monofilament fishing line on the top of this. You tie snares, you tie slip knots on the top of this cage, and inside of the cage you put a hamster. It has to be a hamster, because if it's a rat, the rat will just go to the corner and fall asleep. So you need the hamster, because the hamster is going to be continuously walking around, just continuously. And then so you drive what we have a road on the coast here called Highway 1. And Highway 1 is a very good, strong migratory route for birds of prey. So during the wintertime, because the birds are dealing with their fast metabolism, so they're not up in the air burning energy. They're down on the ground on fence posts and on telephone poles, waiting for something that they can visually see so they can pounce on it. So I just drive along on Highway 1, and if you say, see a red-tailed hawk sitting on a telephone pole, I'll just drive over to the other side of the street slowly and just drop the trap out the door, and stay in my car while I'm doing it, and then drive up about, I don't know, 100 yards, 200 yards, and wait for that hawk to come off of that telephone pole onto the trap. And then once it gets on the trap, it's sitting there trying to claw at that hamster, but it can't get to it. And while it's trying to claw to the hamster, get to the hamster, it starts getting its toenails snared. And before you know it, the red-tailed hawk will try to fly away, and it can't. It's dragging the trap behind it. So that tells me that it's caught. And then I run out of the car, go over and pick up this huge bird of prey and unsnare it, get it unsnared. And then I used to bring him home and train him for hunting.
Dude, that's wicked. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I actually had, I was competitively racing pigeons and being a falconer at the same time. So I had my pigeon loft in my parents' backyard, and I had 2 red-tailed hawks in front of my pigeon loft. And that's where they stayed. It was cool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I never knew that. That's how you guys caught those.
Yeah, that's one method. It's called a snare trap. I've caught 4 in one day. That's my record.
Oh wow. Okay.
And what's interesting is, because I have a animal medicine background, sometimes when I'm catching birds of prey, I catch sick ones. So I'm actually able to take them home, fix them up. I caught one that had an ulcerated cornea.
Okay.
So I took it home and doctored him up, kept him for 2 weeks, and then took him and let him go. And I had another one that had a respiratory infection. So I took some tetracycline or whatever I used and an antibiotic and got him well, and then took him back up on Highway 1 and let him go.
Now, how long do you hold on to them after you've caught them? Like, do you
hold
on to them the whole life then, or?
Yeah, back in the day, I just held him as long as I wanted to. But usually I hold him through the winter, and then in springtime, let him go again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't. Yeah, I had a science teacher that did that. Actually, 2 science teachers did it. And I always wondered, how in the heck do you catch this freaking? Because I see these big red-tailed hawks around here, and it's like, how?
Well, now you know.
Catching these things.
Yeah, I can show you the trap. I can take a photograph of it and see how you can make your own trap. It's simple as get out. It's really cool.
Send me a picture of one that I'm interested to see what this thing looks like and everything.
Yeah.
That's just really cool.
And even if you just go out and catch the bird and take pictures of it and stuff, just the experience of just catch and release. I used to do that all the time. Go out and catch red-tailed hawks and just let them go.
Chris wants to know if the birds have to be a certain age to train, or can it be any age?
Well, as long as they're fledged, then they're ready to hunt. Before that, they're not ready to hunt. So if they're fledgling, then they're good. And we call those passage hawks, because they're usually they don't have territories when they're babies. They're migrating. When the adults, when a bird of prey becomes an adult, they usually stick in their own area for all year. But the young ones, but they call them passage hawks because they're passing through during the wintertime usually.
I know. Just talking about this, when was it? Last week, I was at a job site, and we had a falcon of some sort. I felt its wings flapping as it flew by me chasing a dove.
Oh wow!
Like it was like right here at my head when it flew by.
And the great thing is to have that bird fly to you and land right on your hand.
That would be cool.
That is very cool. And you can teach them to do that within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Once you get them manned, that's the term for docile or whatever, then that bird will, and it's all driven by food.
Okay.
And you whistle every time you feed the bird. And so that bird starts to respond to the whistle versus the food. And that's when you can start really having fun training them.
Neat.
It's like Pavlov's theory, you know, if you ring the bell and feed the dog, ring the bell and feed the dog. That's why we have problems with our ball pythons when it comes to getting bit from a feeding response, because a lot of times people don't check on their animals very much, and the only time they check on them is to maybe feed them.
Yep.
And so the animal gets used to the cage being open to feed them, the cage being open to feed them. So I always recommend that if you're going to have a snake, get it out 10 or 15 times in between each feeding, so that the snake doesn't learn that, when that person opens the door, I'm going to get fed. So that the goal is to teach the animal that it's not going to get fed all the time. In fact, most of the time. So that way you won't get that feeding response, or at least it minimizes it, because the snake isn't anticipating food. It's probably anticipating you.
Yeah. I know, like, especially, let me put my little flip-flop here once. If you can see, like, Xena right there, she's looking up at the top of her cage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only side I come in from with food. And she, like, carpets are really super smart, I've found out.
Mm-hmm.
And she associates that side with being fed.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to come in from the other side. Now, sometimes she'll give me a run for my money. She'll go over to the other side, and then we got to coax her over. But, you know.
And do you feed her live or pre-killed or frozen thawed? Or
I do frozen thawed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now, here's the funny thing. She was a mouser up until this year.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Chris from BNS, when we had our breeder's barbecue, he was actually the first person to get her to take a rat. Now, it took an hour of scenting this rat until she finally decided. There's Chris, I gotta give him credit. He had the most patience. I was ready just to call it quits like a half hour into it, but he kept going with it, and he got her to take it. There were a few times
How did he scent it?
It was. Let me try to remember it here. It was just, I think I had a frozen thawed mouse, and we were just kept basically molesting the rat with this mouse.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you know, we tried a fresh kill rat for her.
So did you happen to wash and rinse the rat before you scented it with the mouse?
I don't know if he washed it before he brought it. I know we didn't do it while it was here.
Okay, so that's something that you might want to think if you're talking to him, to make it easier. Wash the rat, get all that rat scent off of it, and then rinse it, dry it. Then take the mouse scent and put it to the clean rat scent, or the rat, so that the rat isn't fuming with its own scent. It's now so almost neutral, and then you're adding the mouse scent to the rat. It might work better for you guys. Just something to try.
Okay. Well, he finally got her to take it. And then she would grab it. Sometimes she would coil it, and then she'd just drop it, realize, hey, this isn't what I thought it was. But he finally got her to do it, and it took me 4 feedings, maybe 3-4 feedings of scenting like that. And she went over to rats, no problem now.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have colubrids, your scenting is almost a natural thing, because most of your king snakes, at least your mountain king snakes, are lizard eaters and snake eaters.
Oh.
So you have to teach them to eat mice. And a lot of times, so what we would do is we'd take blue belly lizards and freeze them. And then take a mouse, a pinky mouse, kill it, wash it, rinse it, and then take the frozen lizard and rub it all over the mouse, the dead, washed and rinsed mouse, and then feed the mouse to the snake, and they would just go crazy. They would just go at it.
That's just, I guess I always pictured king snakes as they didn't really care about anything. They just wanted to eat.
Well, some do. Now kings, they'll eat anything, but mountain king snakes, Nuevo Leons, the variable king snake, a lot of the mountain king snakes, even the milk snakes, some of those, in the wild, they're eating lizards and snakes. So you have to sort of retrain them to eat like Nuevo Leons. I remember being at my kitchen table with probably 20 or 30 Nuevo Leon. That's the Theri king snakes, the variable king snakes, and babies on the table. And my wife and I, where we had taken mouse tails and clipped them off, and we were force feeding or assist feeding baby Nuevo Leon king snakes with mouse tails. So yeah, it's just a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different techniques. Braining. Have you ever heard of braining?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a technique used with colubrids.
Okay.
Colubrids are much, once you get them eating okay, then they're fine. But because you're working with lizard eaters, unless you're going to feed them lizards, you're going to have to rework their brain a little bit.
Yeah. See, that's interesting. I never really realized that. That's really cool, though. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm actually out of questions, Brian. Believe it or not, and 2 hours and 30 minutes in. I mean, does anybody else have any more questions for Brian? Well, I'll give you guys a minute here. I'll give you guys the who's coming up next on the show. Next week, show's gonna be on a Saturday, folks. On the 22nd, I have Sal from Gomez Pythons coming on. That's Saturday at 7. So it's a completely different day and an hour earlier. It was hard to get a time worked with Sal. That's what worked best for him. So that's what I went with. October 30th, we have Chris from Balls Deep Reptiles joining us. November 6th, we have Catherine from Stellar Serpents and Mutation Creation. She's going to be joining us. On November 12th, Brian Cusco from Triple B is coming back on for round 2. And that's going to be a Saturday as well. That's right after my Reptile Expo. So it's going to be a very, very busy day. It's going to be a get home from that and prep for the live. But there again, it works for Brian. So I was like, all right, dude, awesome. Appreciate it. Because he came on a couple months ago, and he only had like an hour to be able to be on because he was going to be at a birthday party. So I was really thankful for it. And I said to him, hey, if there's another time I get you to come on, I'd absolutely love it. He said, all right, we'll figure something out. And that's what we came up with.
Sure. My little brother.
What's that?
Brian's my little brother. He's like my little brother.
Brian, it must be something with the Bryans. I mean, you guys are all great ambassadors for the hobby and industry. You really are.
Well, it's funny because Cusco a while back said that he's the reason why he calls his, and I don't know how true this is or whatever, but the reason he calls his company or business Triple B is because of me and Barchek and him. And so, it's such an honor.
I've heard him say that before too. So
he's a great guy.
He is. Brian's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
November 20th, we have Ryan from Smitty's Serpents as well. And then November 27th, King Austin is coming back on for round 2. Hopefully he doesn't forget this time. I'm going to ride his rear end to make sure he does not forget, because last time he was supposed to be on, he forgot. Austin's a busy man, but from Royal Highness Pythons and Mutation Creation. So King Austin will be back on. And I'm kind of letting December open, folks, because I've got a big guest I'm trying to work on getting onto the show. And I want to have that person have the pick of the month. So then that way there's no scheduling issue. So it's going to be, December is going to be interesting for me scheduling wise. But if I can pull this guest off, and I'll tell you, Brian, who it is after we get done here.
Okay.
But it's going
to be epic, huh?
Yes. It's an epic guest.
Okay.
It's up there with you and like having Cusco and Billy. They're right up there with you guys.
I could probably guess who it is. Maybe not the first guess, but
I say you just guess after this because I won't be able to keep a straight face if you guess it right.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
I have a terrible poker face. Chris, too many water breaks. Yeah, Austin has a little bit too many water breaks here and there. But that's going to be it, everybody. If nobody else has any more questions, we'll wrap it up for the night. We'll let Brian have the rest of his night to relax and everything. You're right, Morforge. Brian's an awesome guest. It's hard. It is hard to beat Brian. But, all right, we'll wrap it up.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And like I said, everybody, Brian's info is in the description down below. If you need to get a hold of him, I know for a fact he's always there to help. And if you want to get into the reptile show stuff, hit him up. He's got all those years of experience doing it. Use that knowledge that he has.
Yep.
But Brian, thank you again, sir. I appreciate you being on. It's a true honor to have you on tonight. Thanks, really mean that.
Thanks for the honor. Appreciate it.
And everybody, I will catch you. Remember, Wednesday, I've got the normal upload for the video. I don't know what it's going to be though this week, folks. I'm not going to lie. I still got a list of stuff that I have videos made up for. I just got to pick one. So I don't know what it's going to be. It'll be a surprise for us all with what I've come up with. But then remember, next Saturday, not Sunday, Saturday is the live stream for this coming weekend. So we'll catch you then, everybody. And thank you again for tuning in. I greatly appreciate all the love and support. Have a good night. Later.
Thanks, Jeremy. Bye, everyone.